Welcome back to the podcast. Today we've got Tash on. Welcome, Tash.
Thank you.
We are going to talk about her journey into growing her online business and starting actually straight away as an online coach, straight from qualification, straight online, right in at the deep end. So first of all, what got you into coaching?
So my journey isn't like quite straightforward as other people. So I actually went to uni and did sport and exercise science when I was 21, now 27. And then afterwards, I actually wanted to get into healthcare. So I was trying to get into like the hospital, kind of like the standard like physio, that sort of vibe. But then I just kept getting rejections out of after rejections on that as well. And then that's when a few years had passed. I'd been doing like loads of different different jobs. So like I was working like hospitality, a bit recruitment, like admin, and then I just wasn't interested in it whatsoever. Then COVID hit, and that's when I kind of had like a midlife crisis. Kind of had a reflection of where I was taking things, and I was like, I was always put off the thought of going into PT because it's not a standard like career kind of say like something that you'd stick to for years after years, or something that would make me a lot of money, for example. So that's why I always kind of steered away from going down that avenue. And that's when I got into doing the qualifications and did all of that. And then that's when I started noticing online coaching becoming more apparent in the scene, especially on Instagram. So I was like, I know that I want to go down online coaching eventually. So then I just kind of made the leap from there and then haven't looked back, essentially.
So lots to cover there
Yeah.
to start with. Where do you think the perception came from that like maybe PT wasn't a long-term career or could make you a lot of money? Because that's quite interesting.
Yeah, so I think because maybe I was looking in like different area. Well, because I'm like my uni background and I like looking at standard like physio kind of jobs as well. And then I think it was just I just wasn't knowledgeable in the area and like how well people could do with it as well. I always just had it in the back of my mind that maybe it was a bit of limiting belief that I couldn't be successful at it as well.
But what was was the initial thought that you couldn't make a lot of money as a PT?
Yeah,
or was the initial thought was PTs don't make a lot of money?
A bit of both, I'd say.
What do you think drove that? Was it just naturally you thought that? Were the PTs that you knew Muppets?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say any like PTs I knew personally. I think because I'm from Cornwall and like the PT scene in Cornwall, it's just not. I just what I was seeing from other people, I just knew like if I like with my ambitions in mind, I wouldn't be able to achieve that. That's why I was like, if I go into the online space, and that could have potential to go completely different for me.
Okay, that's really. I found the same thing, to be honest with you. I told this story before. I was told at like Virgin Active when I was studying. I did sport and exercise science, and I remember being on. I said I can come in on shift today, but I've got an exam tomorrow, so I'm going to bring my stuff and revise. And I remember the manager walking past, and she went, I don't know what you're bothering with that for. I was like, what do you mean? What are you bothering with that for? She was like, there's no money in fitness. And then just walked off. And I was like, oh. And that's actually one of the reasons why I got into teaching. Because I was like, right, well, if I fucking do enough hours and work long enough, I'll get up to like being a head teacher and I'll make 100 grand a year. Yay. In 10 years. And I probably kill myself with the workload. But like that was like my pathway to like, people do this. Like this is a path that I can follow. What was the kind of draw online for you then? Was it literally that you maybe saw a bit of a more stable path to higher income as such?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's just like money, like solely for the money either. It's more so I just wanted to create something for myself. And again, like with PT, I know you can be self-employed and do that, but you still have to work for like a commercial gym or something. So more so I just wanted to create like my own brand alongside doing the coaching side of thing as well.
So would you say you're quite entrepreneurial then?
Yeah,
I'd say so. It seems like,
yeah.
You wanted no safety net. I don't want anyone's help. I don't want to be based on anything else. I want to kind of do my own thing straight away.
Essentially, yeah.
Where do you think that came from?
I say my dad is very business driven, so that was kind of passed down to me as well. And then I think I did obviously a little bit at college and in school as well. And I don't know, I've just always had, I've had a couple of failures in the past of trying to start other businesses.
Go on, what have you done? Because these are always interesting.
So me and my friend, it's actually a company that I've dissolved. Is that the right word? Recently?
Depends which way.
Anyway, like it's actually quite a funny story. But anyway, we were thinking of setting up like the standard like resistance bands and that sort of thing. And then I remember I applied for like taxed online, and then I don't know what I was doing at all. So then it's like a whole process that I had to like shut down, and a company had to shut down. But yeah, I've always tried to think of ideas to kind of pursue, but nothing ever stuck for me, apart from obviously what I'm doing now.
And you think that maybe came from your dad and your upbringing? And stuff
yeah,
like
I'd say so. Like seeing my dad, like, because he worked very hard and like worked for the same company for, God, I think it was like 40 years. I could see how like business driven he is. And also like my mum was self-employed. My brother's also self-employed. So I'd say it's like a big family background of wanting to pursue that as well.
That's quite interesting, because usually people come from one or two backgrounds. Like people that work with us generally come from one or two backgrounds. They come from like that kind of second generation of like small business owners, where like my dad was kind of similar. He did groundwork, and then like didn't open up his own groundworks company. He just started working for himself, like made the contacts and did roads and stuff like that. And that's why I was because my dad was, say, the boss. It was like him and two guys that used to do the tarmacking, but my dad was like the main one, and he used to always be like, "Oh, I want to be the boss. Like, I want to like have my name on the van and stuff like that." Or they come from like a strict working class background. It's more like, I want to be the first one to do that.
Yeah.
And I think it's generally kind of the younger clients that come and work with us that wanted to do that. What was the other one other than the resistance band? Because I noticed you said you had tried two businesses, and you've gone for the easy. I think you've gone for the lighter one straight away. What was the other one?
So the other one was like, it's like, trinkets and stuff and jewelry kind of that you'd get on Etsy or something like that. I was looking, it was actually over COVID. That's when I had my midlife crisis, I like to call it. And I was like just Googling out like business ideas that I could take off the ground. And one of them was like candles. I nearly got into candle making as well. Not to like obviously throw any shade on that, but like I just didn't really know what I was doing. Well. It was like trinkets, candles, and then me and my friend was like, "Oh my God, such a great idea!" Like resistance bands, and then obviously that never took off. And then then afterwards trying to think further, and then that's when I was like, "No, I'm actually gonna study, get qualified, and then pursue my own thing."
Okay, so then so you've always wanted to run your own business. You've been very entrepreneurial minded. Why then fitness alongside it? Why was fitness the one that you were like, okay, this is the one I'm going to take forward?
Yeah, sure. So I've always been like sporty from a young age. Like I was a massive tomboy when I was younger. I'd be playing football. I play football on an all boys team, and I would be out like after school every evening on my bike. So like always been very active in that sense. And that was also from my family as well. Like they both play sports, my brothers essentially. And then I think I've always just had like a passion in it, and like I find it so interesting, and I never ever, it's one of those topics where I don't get bored of it. And then it's when I went through and joined the gym at like 17, 18 myself, it kind of was my, not to sound like really deep, but like it was my savior in a way of building up like who I am as a person today, like building up my confidence. And it's always just been such a huge part of my life, and like having that impact on other females now, and helping them go through the lifestyle change and build their confidence and see how it can impact them in such a positive way. Like there's no better feeling than that to me.
That's really good. And I think, that's the main thing for us as a company as well, is like, there's loads of different ways to make money. Like you could have made money on Etsy selling candles, like it's tubal, people do it. But were you going to be passionate about selling candles online?
No. Even if I didn't earn like money from this, I think it'd still be something that I would pursue, because I literally love what I do as well.
So who particularly do you work with? What's your group of people?
Yeah, sure. So I'd say in the beginning, I didn't really have a niche as such. I would just take on like anyone and everyone just to get experience. Yeah. Even now, I wouldn't say I have like as big of a niche as like a certain like job field or anything like that. But I know I'm able to help like busy professional ladies. I know it sounds really cliche, but busy professional ladies who have made a start in the gym. They've kind of made a start of improving their like eating habits, that sort of thing. But then I kind of take away their extra, like their perception of going to the gym and getting results, then thinking it's gonna take up their whole schedule. So I like to try and simplify things through my process, show them how easy it is to take on a lifestyle change and get results. But yeah, I tend to work with a lot of like highly established women, so like some like business owners and like lawyers and that sort of thing. So kind of going down that route.
What do you think led you down that group of people specifically?
I guess like having to create that for myself, like, because obviously I've started from nothing and I've had to build that up for myself. And I've also had to work hard on like being really good with my own time management, my scheduling of my week. And obviously right now I'm going through a bodybuilding prep right now. So I have a lot of targets that I have to hit throughout the day. So I like just to take my own experience and lay it back to them, because essentially like 1 or 2 years ago, I was doing exactly what they're doing now. So I've just been through the process myself.
I think that's quite interesting, to be honest with you, because I know a lot of coaches want to work with that audience and very few actually manage to kind of establish their authority with them.
Yeah.
So what would you say, like, the biggest things that have allowed you to actually succeed with that audience? Because being fair, everyone wants to work with busy professional men or women because they think that busy professional men or women will pay me money because they make money. But you've actually gone at a different angle and said, like, look, this is the experience that I've got of why I can help them. So what are the big things that maybe have built that authority with the audience that has allowed you to take on those clients?
Yeah, sure. So I don't really even have that much of a corporate background, but I like to rely or like drill from my where I've come from. So like I've obviously gone from nothing, like, well, that sounds quite deep, but like obviously started from scratch and I've had to build that up for myself. So although I haven't got a corporate background in that sense, no, I can relate to a lot of their struggles of what they're going through and like managing their time and like being successful and getting the results that they want as well.
I think that for me is kind of a big deal where, like you said, when you first started, that you took on anyone and anyone to kind of build the business. I don't think that was a terrible idea, to be honest with you, because if you'd have tried to go after busy professional women who were growing a business or like trying to succeed in their job before you'd actually grown at least a bit of a business or been slightly successful, you probably would have come from a very hollow place where people are like, wow, what's this 25-year-old girl talking to me about building a business? She makes like 400 quid a month. Whereas because you got busy and just took on people and got yourself over that, I think there's a hump that you have to get over as like and I don't like using the word success as a blanket statement because there's lots of different kinds of success, but like business success, if you're going to work with busy professional people, I feel like you have to get over at least that first hurdle of getting your own business success first, or else you don't really have a leg to stand on with helping these kind of people because they're like, you've got 4 clients, you're not fucking busy, so how the fuck are you going to tell me how to manage my schedule?
Yeah, I completely agree.
What kind of things do you do then? Like what things do you do to manage your schedule, make sure you get everything done? What things do you help your clients with? Like, what are your methods?
I'm very, very organized as a person. Like, I feel like that's one of my strong points. So I literally have, it's like in terms of myself personally, that I also encourage my clients, like of my week, it's literally mapped out on Google Calendar every single day. Then every single evening, I always make a like priority list of what I need to do for the following day. And then I see time as money. Like, so I'm never like just stood around doing something like nothing. I always have to be using or utilizing my time wisely. So I like to say I'm very good at filling my days with the right things that are going to help me grow. And then I try and pass this skill set over to my clients, like how they can manage things better, how they can manage their stress levels better, and just try and get them super organized and like more efficient with their schedules outside of their work, and also just to put time back into themselves rather than giving that energy to everyone else around them. What
big things then do you usually like cut out of people's diaries that they're wasting their time on? What things do you
when I like analyze their days, either like lying in too late and not utilizing the morning time to wake up a little bit earlier to get steps in, or in the evening, like Netflix is a standard one, like time they could be going to gym, but then also just utilizing, I try and put them into the mindset, like when they're at work, just utilize all of that time as you're working. So it doesn't just have to be working for your company, but working on yourself. So that means on your lunch break, you might be going out and getting a walk in. So when you actually finish in the evening, you can have dedicated downtime. Like that is my mentality that I have as well, that I'm trying to drill into each of my clients too.
I think that's really useful. One of the big things for me listening to that is like, you kind of actually walking the walk that you expect your clients to do.
Yeah, definitely.
Which gives you that, like, again, because like I really do want to highlight that this isn't an easy niche to succeed in.
Yeah.
Because they're clever. So it's harder to pull the wool over their eyes and be like, oh yeah, I'll give you all this like razzmatazz. Like, I think you've really got to kind of like embody the whole process. And it sounds like you're doing that very, very well, which is why things have been going very well for you.
I like to think so.
How did you find, like, obviously you're not like overly young in a patronizing way, but like you've grown up with social media.
Yeah.
And it seems like you've generally always seen social media and internet as a way of kind of making money and growing a business. How have you found like the whole social media side of being an online coach? Is it something that you really enjoyed? Is it something that maybe, didn't come natural to you? Like, how did you find all that?
Yeah, so honestly speaking, it didn't come natural to me whatsoever. In fact, like, it's actually quite funny. I started a separate fitness account because I was trying to hide building my business from everyone that knew me in the beginning. So like I had a bit of imposter syndrome announcing it out there, because obviously I was working on the qualifications and everything in the background. I didn't really want to make a scene or a fuss over myself. So I was like, oh, I'm just going to announce it quietly. And I was like, no, that's stupid, because then I had my own personal account, which I already had so much more exposure on. So then it took me a little while to actually announce what I was doing, just because of like own doubts in my head. And then I announced it on there, and then it was like a slow process building up my confidence. Like speaking on camera didn't come naturally to me whatsoever. And just actually having like belief in the product and what I could sell. But like now, like I'd say these days, I don't have an issue with that whatsoever, just because I have like proof from myself that I know what I'm talking about. I can get people good results, and I really do put 100% into every single client that comes on and works with me as well.
What would be your advice then to people trying to get over that initial hurdle? Because like now you're like, oh yeah, well I know what I'm doing. I've got some good results, but like you had to kind of bite that bullet in the first place to get yourself to that position.
Yeah.
So what kind of things did you work on yourself to like get into the habit of it?
Yeah, sure. So I'd say a really pivotal point for me was actually investing into TMP. I don't know if you've heard of Total Mental Performance.
Kieran.
Yeah. I went through the academy, and going through that, I'd say made some big shifts in the right direction for me. But not only that, just like getting out of my own head, like stop taking everything so seriously. Like if you don't fail, then you're not trying. So I just always see like imposter syndrome now. I don't really get it these days, but when I did back then, it just means that you're getting pushed out your comfort zone to a different level. So you can either run away from it or rise up to it in order to actually get somewhere.
Describe what you mean by imposter syndrome to people, because I think imposter syndrome is a label that people kind of use quite blanketly for a load of different reasons.
Yeah.
And like, sometimes I see it as like people just not wanting to do things because it's a little bit difficult. They're like, oh, I've got imposter syndrome. And I'm like, I don't think that's technically imposter syndrome. That's just you shying away from doing something that you don't really want to do.
Yeah.
What kind of situations were you like seeing imposter syndrome develop itself in?
I'd say it was at its strongest in the beginning, just because it was an avenue that I've never pursued before. So I remember like I was just like a little bit stubborn in the beginning, and things were going a little bit slow. I wasn't getting the traction I wanted on social media. So I remember just having like a breakdown and a bit of a cry, like, oh, and I was like, no, I can either quit here and like just give up, or pursue it and just don't look back. And that's kind of the direction I've taken things. But it always come on when I would try like something new, or like put myself out there further, or I'd always get some doubts like to try and hold myself back, but I just kind of continue trying regardless, and eventually it's got me to where I want to be. So
what would you say your biggest tip would be for people that are actually like in that position though, and they're like, I can't do this, I keep going to do the content and I'm not doing it, I keep wanting to tell people how good my program is and I always hold myself back, like what would be your advice to those people? Like, what actionable stuff can they go away and do to like improve that?
Yeah, sure. So I'd say if they're able to invest into like a mindset coach like I did, such as TMP, like that was honestly life-changing for me. But if anything, it's just like getting out of your own head, just giving things a go. And if it goes wrong, it's not the end of the world. You can just pick up and try again. I feel like in the online coaching space, you need to have tough skin and you need to be able to keep doing things like the tough actions to keep you moving forwards. And then if you have a bad day or like, you know, something doesn't go well on like social media, like then it probably isn't the job field for you. You just have to keep going regardless.
I agree. And my bit of advice to add 2p onto that, because I've been doing this for a while now, nobody fucking remembers and nobody cares. I've been lynched on social media before for like saying shit that now I'd probably be quite ashamed of. Nothing like terrible, but like, I think I made a post one time about like how being on your period doesn't give you the right to eat 9,000 calories worth of chocolate. My heart was in the right place. I just meant that it's going to happen every single month. So if you do that every single month, then something obviously needs to change for you. However, didn't get taken that way, as things often don't. Fuck me. The backlash was incredible. And you know, like, when people know you, they get you. Like, when people know what your sense of humour is like and the way you mean things. But it only takes one person to share it to a bunch of people that don't know you, and then the fucking, what are they called? The vultures. I was thinking ravens then, and I thought that's a bit too morbid, that. But then the vultures, oh mate, it was bad. But guess what? No one remembers other than me. Now everyone's going to be like, oh, I'm going to go find that post, but it's gone. It's gone, and you're never going to find it.
Back inside there somewhere.
Nah, it's not. I deleted it. But that's great as well. Social media, guess what? You can delete stuff.
Exactly.
It's brilliant. But that was maybe 4 years ago, and I genuinely thought like my business was going to fall then. Because we were, what?
None of their screenshots. I saved it.
I'll start saving yours then, because you've got to temper you when you start posting. Don't you start. But yeah, like, honestly, like, I thought my business was going to crumble after that, because I was like, there was hundreds of comments, and I was like, that's going to go bad, that's going to go really bad. Guess what? Nothing matters. Doesn't matter.
Exactly.
So that would be my advice on that front to people listening. But cool, so you went through this mental shift. Where did it really start kind of moving forward for you? Where were you like, oh my God, I've got something here.
I'd say I didn't actually get that confident in my service and what I can provide to people until the start of this year, which also kind of ties in when I joined FBU as well. So obviously I was doing a previous mentorship. I won't name names, but I was doing that. And then I kind of got somewhere. I was like, yeah, this is okay. But it's not until this year where I've had some really, really big shifts and like, okay, yeah, I'm actually proud and confident in what I can provide to people now.
What was the moment? Was there like a moment where you were like, I'm going to make something out of this? Like, this is really going well. Like,
yeah,
what was that like?
I'd say it was like January. That was also tied in like reaching new client-based numbers and income numbers as well. And I was like, okay, because I was kind of at a plateau in trying to pursue growth and push things forwards for several months. I'd say like for the whole of last year. I was kind of at the same point, and that kind of did play on my mind, like, oh, maybe this is how far I'll take things. But then ever since the start of 2023 we're in, aren't we? Yeah. Ever since the start of the year, that's when things kind of took off for me.
What do you think were maybe the tactical shifts that you made that allowed that to happen?
I'd say that was when I did my first client group shoot, and also I did a personal shoot for myself. So I guess people seeing that being all over my Instagram, and I think just me giving myself more time and actually getting better results and getting more educated and just knowing what I'm doing, and also probably like a shift in my own mindset around it as well. Because I definitely had like some negative moments last year, which I think kind of held me back in a way.
Why do you think your client shoot and your shoot made a difference in the business?
I think just showing the process and then showing the results, like getting the testimonials from that as well, and then also showing that I also walk the walk too. So I'm not just a coach that obviously tells someone what to do, like I actually live and breathe this lifestyle as well. And if anything, going through my current bodybuilding prep as well, that's also attracted new people and sparked new conversations into what I'm doing as well.
I think it's massive, to be honest, and I think maybe it's a mental thing sometimes. There's two kind of things where I see like people really struggle. like with online coaching. And one, it's that they don't share enough about themselves for people to connect with, or it's that they don't have anything about themselves to share for people to connect with.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, those two things do happen. Like they're either scared of it or they're actually, you know, trying to run a business that isn't really true to what they do and who they are. And I think obviously with the mental shift that you made, like, did you do that strategically, or was it like a, you know, part of your like mental journey where you were like, no, you know what, like I'm going to show people exactly what I'm up to and what I'm doing and not hold it back?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say it's strategic. Like it's something that I've always wanted to do for myself. I've just never understood online coaches who are like successful and got a lot of clients and then they like just don't go to the gym or like they don't look after themselves. It just never really made sense to me. So I've always like loved the lifestyle, and I kind of did want to push it to the next extreme, but like I'm not doing this for anyone else but myself to see what I'm actually capable of. But I know that that's going to have massive returns on like obviously my business, attracting new people in, and also like my clients. Like I've got so many lovely comments from my clients, and also just to be like a inspiration to them is like a really good feeling as well.
I think you have to be fair. I think there's outliers, most successful business owners, coaches lead by example. I think if you're going to coach, you have to be able to lead. And I think that's potentially a problem. Again, when I look at certain coaches that maybe are struggling, I look at them and I'm like, are you really a leader of the people that you're trying to work with? Like, and sometimes it comes down to, again, it's probably that double scenario again. Sometimes they could be, and they're holding themselves back from it mentally. And that's where something like, you know, the TMP course that you did, you know, will make a massive difference.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're trying to lead the wrong people.
Yeah.
I believe that everybody can be a leader to somebody, but you've got to find the right people at the right stage of the journey. And I think some people kind of try for something that maybe they're not in the position for right now.
Yeah.
And I think it comes down to passion a lot of the time. Like you clearly really enjoy what you're doing. Like it doesn't seem like a chore.
I mean, at the beginning of my current prep, like I found it really difficult. So if anything, it's been like amazing for my own self-growth and confidence because I wasn't very good with my time management before. Like if anything, my scheduling and my organization has improved through doing this prep because I have to. Because if I don't, it means that I'm going to miss out on like client work and I'm going to start to fall in other areas in terms of like keeping things where they are. So if anything, it's only brought like positive returns, even though I'm like starving, but it's fine.
It's easier when you're busy though.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I stupidly once when I was younger, after I retired from playing sport, like thought, oh, I just need something to continue doing. So I'm going to do a bodybuilding show. Don't ever do a bodybuilding show on a year's worth of training because it's not a fucking good idea. I'm telling you. But the stupidest mistake I made was when I was teaching, I did the prep. I saved the diet for the 6-week holidays. I was like, because then I won't worry about work then. Like I won't have work to bother about. Like I won't be tired at work. Do you know how hard it is to just sit there all day with fuck all to do and just count down the hours to your next meal?
Honestly,
it is the worst. I was like, great, I've just finished and I'm still hungry. Another 2 hours until I can eat again. What am I going to do for 2 hours? Whereas when I was in school, I was like, right, I've got 2 fucking left. I'm not even bothered about food. And sometimes after that point, like even further into my career, I'd go all day without eating because I was that fucking busy.
Yeah.
So
I hear that from my
helps.
clients all the time. Like, oh, I didn't even think about food. I was like, how?
Yeah. It's probably just, again, it's the same thing because they're busy.
Yeah.
But so over the last few months, you've hit some PB months back to back. You've kind of, I think you've well and truly kind of broken through that like 5K barrier now and you're getting there. Again, what were the biggest things that you think have shifted maybe within the business now rather than like within yourself that have allowed you to kind of break through that plateau that maybe you weren't doing before?
Yeah, sure. So I think through obviously joining you guys, just having a better layout to like my program, what I can offer, like the payment options, and also just forming a solid offer, because before I wasn't really confident or knowledge or like certain in what I could provide to people. But now having like a program and an offer, and then also having that over my social media as well, like everything has just improved since like I've joined the FBU. So just having like a clear content plan, which is obviously going to bring in new people. And then once I've got into that conversation and I get them on a call or start chatting to them, having it clearly laid out what I can offer and having confidence that I can get people results through that process, and just obviously being on it with the lead gen like I wasn't on it with the lead gen before, and just like doing all the things that I need to do as a business owner to obviously always gain new business as well, which I wasn't really doing last year in all honesty.
What difference do you think it's made for you, like having a clear offer and a program? Do you think it, because sometimes people, I think the misconception is that like doing the offer thing and building the program makes it really salesy, but I beg to differ. I think it allows you to coach better, and it allows you to turn the sales process into a coaching process, because you're like, this is my process, like this is what I believe in, this is how I think this job should be done, and then people can either buy into that or they can't, but they know what they're getting when they sign up to you, because they know what you've literally laid it out. Look, this is what we're going to do. I don't know whether you thought the same thing or...
Yeah, I feel like it just differentiates you from every online fitness coach on Instagram, because before I was just kind of fitting into the mold of like, oh, I can offer you a training program or a nutrition plan, whereas kind of sitting down and mapping out my offer and then showing that to people on like a sales call, for example, it just gives you so much more confidence in what you can provide to them, and also tailor it to yourself so it's more unique rather than just like another standard fitness coach on Instagram.
Please tell me that scheduling thing's a big part of your offer.
Yeah.
Thank God for that. Because that's really, no, but that's what people will look at. And, you know, people that are busy that have that manic schedule, like if you offered that to somebody that wasn't in that position, they'd be like, what? I'm going to plan in my downtime in the evening. I'm not planning that. Like, I'm just going to do what I want. Or like, what? I've got to sit down in the evening and write out the 3 main priorities I've got to do. I fucking can't be arsed doing that.
Yeah.
But with the kind of women that you work with, they're going to look at that and think, oh my God, that would be so useful. Like, I can't believe I've not done that before.
Yeah.
And then you teaching them that system is going to allow them to obviously get over their specific issues.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the biggest things about building an offer. It's not about jazzing shit up. It's about drawing out the things that, like, every coach does these things. If you've got a client that's really fucking busy, you'll sit down and schedule with them. I would hope you would anyway, or else you're fucking bit useless. But it's about telling people that you do that rather than them coming into the program and be like, oh, I didn't know you were going to do that with me. This is really fucking helpful. Because it helps them at the time, but it doesn't help the business, and it doesn't help them know that you do that on the front end.
Yeah.
So I think that for me is like it should be, if it's not already, a really big part of your offer and your content and stuff like that. 'Cause
absolutely.
That's really, what other things do you do specifically then?
So I say obviously it is like the training program, the nutrition plan, and then also I'd say like that is like the bulk of everything as well. I know that there's probably from this point I can make even more improvements to my service, but I'd say like that is it in a nutshell, I'd say.
And how do you feel about your life now as a business owner, like wanting to be like having your own business and having your own thing? Like, how do you feel like you're on the path to that now?
It just feels amazing. Like every day, like I just feel so fulfilled and content with what I'm doing, but also know like there's still so many new levels that I can reach with where I'm going as well.
What are those levels that you reach?
I'd like to take on another coach, hit into like new client numbers as well. I'd like to just to push things as far as they can go. Like I feel like it's quite limitless in that sense.
What's the dream though? Like, what's the 3-year dream for your business?
I'd like to have 2 coaches working for me. Obviously client numbers, maybe like 30 to 40 per coach. And just like, just have like a really personable brand that obviously has even more improvements added to the service to continue working with the niche that I'm working with now.
Cool. And where can people watch this happen? People are a bit interested.
So my current Instagram name is Tash Got Training, but it's changing as of Monday because I'm having a rebrand. So it's going to be Tash MYP Coaching from Monday.
NYP?
MYP.
What does
coaching.
MYP mean?
Maximize your potential.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So going for a rebrand from next week as well.
So Tash_MYP.
Yeah.
Coaching.
Yeah.
Instagram. Anything else?
I'm on TikTok, but I'm quite inconsistent. So I'd say Instagram is the best place.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.